confession time. 5 minutes past 11. If you get your story read out, you get a confession book. Thank you very much. The worst of confessions. Who's this? Well, we're just going to call him Peter in Cheshire. He doesn't mind his name being read out, but I get a little nervous about that sometimes. Dear Father Simon, I plead forgiveness from you and your collective for what can only be described as a crime against half of the Manchester residents on a cold winter's evening in December 1988. No need to disguise my name, as the event was thoroughly published in all the newspapers and TV bulletins on the fateful evening, Friday 23rd December. At this time in my life, I was a traffic policeman with the Greater Manchester Moss Side Motorway Unit, and I'd been serving in my new post for just a couple of weeks. It was my first week on the job, and I was on my own as my regular partner was on holiday. At about 3 p.m, I was called up to escort a slow-moving wide load containing Boeing 747 aircraft wings from our boundary with the Cheshire Police Force to the far side of Manchester. This type of duty normally fell to the motorcycle unit, but they happened to be on royal protection duties that day, so the job fell to me. I eagerly went to meet the load from our counterparts in the Cheshire Police Force, who'd escorted it from the south of the county and handed responsibility over to me. This was my first day alone on the motorway section, so I wished to create a good impression. There I was, proud in my brand spanking new Ford Capri patrol car, taking command of this valuable cargo. I had not been told of any special route to take from our ops room, so I proceeded along the most direct route from the pickup point in Altrincham towards Manchester city centre. This took me up a slip road onto what is locally known as the Mancunian Way. I raced up the slip road in front of the load in order to halt the traffic on the main flyover, in order to give the load a free run. I activated my blue lights and siren, and the traffic duly came to a halt whilst I was waiting for the load to appear. I then heard an almighty screech of brakes and a horrible crashing and scrapping noise that I will never forget for as long as I live. That might have been a scraping noise, but it does say scrapping. I suddenly remembered the slip road I was leading this huge monstrosity up was 16 feet wide. The load? Well, it was 19 feet wide. The whole vehicle came stuck like a cork in a bottle between the Armco barriers, and my immediate thoughts were of doing a runner away from the scene, but this really wasn't the kind of behaviour you'd expect from a policeman. I had to face reality quickly, and I summoned help. I told the control room what had happened, but admitted to tell them that I had led the hapless driver up the unauthorised route for wide loads, and instead informed them that he had disobeyed my express instructions not to take this route up the Mancunian Way. My senior officers did not wear this, and when they arrived on the scene, they told me what they thought of my first attempt at escorting wide loads. The Council Engineers Department had to be turned out with huge bolt cutters and specialised welding equipment to remove the barriers. 3 specialist crane operators had to be mobilised to lift the immense vehicle and its load off the slip road, together with 3 fire appliances and so on. I'd interrupted everybody's office Christmas party, so as you can imagine, I was a really popular young man. Worse was to come. The final nightmare arrived in the form of 2 TV crews, together with a melee of reporters and photographers from national and local newspapers. This, I thought, was the end of my short career in the traffic unit. Then I remembered that one of the chaps on duty that day was a bit of a wally, and I'd had run-ins with him before. His name was Dave Johnson, and I owed him one from many years previously. I have changed the name, as you might have gathered. It was at this point that my game plan came into being. I approached a scruffy-looking reporter, as they all are, and said that off the record this type of incident was due to inexperienced young traffic officers not being trained properly. And who was responsible for this? Was it you, said the reporter. No, actually, it's PC Johnson, I replied, but he's not here at the moment. Oh, it's a chap called Johnson, I heard him call to the remainder of the press pack. They all took their photographs and compiled their news bulletins and went. Well, what had I done, I thought? Not only have I interrupted many people's Christmas parties, stopped Manchester, but also blamed it on someone else. Yes, 4 hours later, the load eventually was released, and it had taken 30 council workmen, 15 firefighters, 10 additional police officers, and 6 crane operatives to release it. Simon, I beg forgiveness from all the people who had to turn out from their parties. The driver of the lorry, who I squarely blamed for having taken a route that I expressly forbade him from taking. And mostly I asked forgiveness from PC Johnson, who was not able to defend himself from the snipes of incompetence aimed at him from the various sections of the press. I have since, surprisingly, left the police force to further my education at Bournemouth University. And I'm also hoping to set up a computer business systems in the Altrincham area of South Manchester, if they welcome me back. This is Peter from Cheshire. A sorry story, a waste of money, incompetence, and blaming everybody else, so lying and corruption as well. Let's see how the collective fare on this. We go back to Kesgrave in Ipswich, Oakwood House. Yes, Kevin, first of all, Kevin Long.
Right, well, Simon, I'm not going to forgive this.
Yeah?
Not only because of the terrible catastrophe that he caused.
Yes.
But mainly because he actually drove a Capri.
Yes, that is unforgivable, isn't it?
So, actually, no forgiveness from me today.
Thanks,
Sorry
Kevin.
about that.
Okay, let's try Julie. Julie Sapsford, this is... Yes, Julie.
Good morning.
Morning, Julie.
Well, I really am deep down in my heart of heart.
Yeah.
Think that, he can't be forgiven, but because, it's so brilliant, I've got to forgive it.
Okay, you like the story, so forgive me. Say, Julie, tomorrow try speaking in the phone.
Sorry.
All right, okay. And finally, it's Sue Revel Revel Ruvel Dooble. Sue.
Hello, Simon.
Yes, Sue, forgiveness. It's 1-1 at the moment. It could go either way.
Well, I can forgive him for sending him up the wrong road, but not for blaming anybody else.
Okay, so on balance,
No.
not forgiven.
No.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks, bye. It's Confessions, Simon Mayo, 1FM, London W1N, 4DJ. Get it read out. You win a very, very splendid Confessions book.